Hey folks, Brian Parker here from Tactical Sovereignty. And I heard, a short video tonight, and I'm going to try and nail this in 12 minutes for you. It's about a 16-minute video. I'll drop it down in the description box or in the pinned comments. This is from David Icke, talking about two laws that exist: common law and statutory law.
No, I'm not exaggerating. Common law, a lot of people might ask, what is that? Well, common law is the real law of the land, not the laws coming out of government agencies, and the institutions of state in general.
That's funny. Supreme Court follows treaty and constitution as law of the land.
The police forces and other forms of law enforcement. Because people look in general, why wouldn't they? It's the way it seems, that there is the law, and that law applies to everyone. Not true. There are two different systems of law. One they don't want you to know about, and the other one they want you to believe it's something that actually it isn't. And this appreciation of the difference between common law and what is called statute law offers a way to disconnect yourself and, it seems, your business from the impositions of law imposed currently in all the nonsense by governments and its agencies. A little bit of background about where statute law, the law of government, actually came from and what it is. So, common law is a very simple system of law, which includes basically do no harm. And if you keep within the parameters of do no harm, then common law is all fine and dandy with that. But then there's another set of laws called statute laws. Where did that come from? Well, long ago, the system of law we now call statute developed when countries started trading with each other, and the merchant ships and the sail ships were going around the world, and commerce on a ever increasingly global.
So he's saying that that's where statutory law came from, when commerce started being done, like in his words, around the world. Well, I'm sorry, but the statutory laws for the United States, they could care less about in England or in China or any place else where goods were being delivered across the waters. Those would have been following international law. It would have been following maritime law, because on the waters you're in admiralty jurisdiction. On the land you're not. There's a big difference. A lot of people don't realize. They want to say that admiralty jurisdiction has been brought on land, which he says later on in this video. I'm probably not going to get to it. But the difference is in a court system between admiralty jurisdiction and your statutory or administrative courts is that in maritime law, you don't have a jury. You have a judge. That's it. You don't have a choice between the two. You only get a judge. There's no jury in maritime law. So that's a big no-brainer there to tell that, no, that's not what's happening in the courts today. Let's continue.
Scale began to emerge, and they developed laws, corporate laws only applicable to corporations in this trading system. And the flag on the ship was, for instance, very important, because whatever the flag the ship was flying indicated the law that applied when you entered that ship.
No, I've worked on boats.
And this
We flew a
became known as the
Panamanian
law of
flight,
the
but you have to
sea,
follow U.S. law when you're in the
Admiralty
U.S.
law, and it very much connects into the systems of Roman law. But there then came a time when the cabal, the global cult, wanted to usurp, override, and effectively cast aside common law, which is nothing to do with government, and replace it with statute law.
Common law has nothing to do with government. Well, then why was it that the people from Europe that came over here to these shores said that they were fleeing the harsh common law of the king? Okay, that doesn't make sense. So evidently, common law does have something to do with the laws of the land, the laws that man writes. Because if you look up what common law is, it follows court decisions and treaties. That's what common law does. It follows what's common to the people. People listen to things like this, and this is where they get screwed up at.
Which is the law of contracts. Statute law, what was the law of the sea, has to have two corporate entities, two or more.
Contract law is common law too.
Contract with each other for one to have jurisdiction over another. That has to be agreed.
A common law marriage is a contract.
Is the law
That's common
coming
law.
out of governments all over the world. It's the law of contracts. And if you don't contract with them, and they have any word tricks and mind tricks to make you do so, but if you understand it, you can stop. If you don't contract with them, then these laws have no jurisdiction over you. So what they did was they took the law of the sea, the law of contracts, corporate law, trading law, and they brought it ashore. And they imposed it upon the population. Well, the population thought, oh, this is just governments making law. No. Because statute law, the law of contracts, has to have contractual parties to have any influence or jurisdiction, what they did was they turned governments, government agencies, the police forces, I'm talking around the world, even fire services, local councils, social services, they turned them into corporations. Yeah, your government is a corporation.
Hold on a second. They turned their agencies into corporations? So why are there still agencies out there? Why aren't they just called corporations? Why isn't it just LLC after their name or CORP after their name? Why are they still called an agency if they're a corporation? An agency is just a subdivision or a franchise, basically, of another company. That's all they are. They're not turning anything into corporations, including you and me.
Its agencies are corporations. Law enforcement agencies are corporations. The courts are corporations.
They're private corporations. Yeah.
Private corporations. And they had to be made so because under statute law, law of the sea, it only applies between contracting corporations. They
Statutory law is not law of the sea. I'm
law
sorry.
of the sea terms.
Law of the sea is maritime law.
For statute law. Why do you think that the accused person in a court stands in a dock?
I never stood on a dock.
Throwback
I never had water under me.
to the law of the sea, which has been brought ashore. When I went to America, I've been to America before, but I went to America for the first time to talk about all this.
Listen, I've seen too many situations where there was kind of discussions between countries, like when a plane went down, as to who is it under? Is it under the jurisdiction of where it took off from, or is it in the jurisdiction of maritime law if it crashed in the water? And it was always found that it was under maritime law if it had crashed in the water. So, no, You're not going and dragging the law of water onto the land. It doesn't work that way. And I'll have this down in the description box or in the pinned comment below. You can watch the entire thing. But he also says that they turn people into corporate entities by calling them Mr. or Mrs. That's so old. That's such old patriot nonsense. If that is what establishes a corporation, I've never gotten in a car and driven to Mr. Walmart, or gotten in a car and gone down to Mrs. Sunoco to get gas. No, Mr. and Mrs. are just honorary. They're just niceties. It has nothing to do with being a corporate structure. It's all about law of agency. It's all about what you're representing, and you are representing a corporate structure that they created when you were born, but they didn't turn you physically into anything. It just doesn't work that way. Well, I said I was going to keep this at 12 minutes or under, and I'm right at 11 minutes. And I think we've seen enough holes to realize the dude doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's saying there's only two kinds of law. There's upwards of 10 different types of law. Now, there's two really important ones he never even mentioned. What about natural law? Don't tell David Icke he's not talking about natural law. You'll come unhinged on him. What about covenant law? The law you have with your Creator. Isn't that the more important one? Like I tell people every week, learn who you really are, where you're really from, and where you're really at. Because you've been deceived on all three of those levels. And we've nailed this right at the 12-minute mark. So, hey, come and see us Sunday nights on our regular podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern, on TalkShoe, 143-321. And sayonara, everybody. Thanks for being here. Bye.